Hey everyone, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. So, have you seen it yet? Harry and Meghan on Netflix? A lot of what they've shown are things we've seen before, but there's some interesting revelations. There's some interesting changes to the story. Things they've said before, now they're changing their story now. It's very interesting throughout all three series. Um, it's very obvious through the still pictures and video that they're creating a narrative right from the beginning of press intrusion, the illegitimacy of the press, really, um, how they've been mistreated. It's outrageous. They're, from beginning to end, it's contrivance, it's deception, it's outright lies and mockery of the royal family in a very soft sell. Just pull some, you can pull anything out of the air. I mean, one of the biggest revelations, and I mean, we kind of knew that Meghan had her sights set on Harry even a couple of years before. She was talking to friends, going to Britain, trying to bag a rich Brit, either, reality star or football player. She wanted a rich Brit. And remember back in their um, interview upon their engagement? Oh, Harry, they met, first of all, they met on a blind date, don't you know? Well, now they're telling us that they actually met through Instagram and chatted back and forth that way for quite a while before they actually met. Lie number one. We get to them talking about the engagement video interview that they had done. Meghan described it, when they're outside on the lawn by the water pond, the square water pond where the engagement photos were taken, and she's saying like, "Oh yeah, it was like a casting call. It was set up. It, you know, well, what are you gonna do in royal family? There, any big announcement, engagement, wedding, there's gonna be press. The royal press corps, the royal rota, they were all there on the other side of the pond with their cameras. Somehow, Meghan took big offense to this. Well, and you get to the interview. Oh, how did Harry propose to you in the interview and in this setting? Oh, they were roasting chicken in the cottage, and he just got down on one knee. And then we see in in the footage, they've got they were out. Harry's talking about the engagement, and there's footage of them having a picnic with electric candles in the evening on the lawn of Kensington Palace, and that's where he proposed. And they've got the footage. I mean, now we know throughout this whole thing, we understand. And I mean, we kind of knew before, but maybe not to the extent that Meghan was filming a year before they were even engaged. She was documenting everything. And through the course of the show and what they've said and everything, you can tell. I mean, they were filming things a year before Mexit ever happened. They'd planned this out. This crap about in the Oprah interview where Harry says, "Oh well, we hadn't planned on any of this, but after we were cut off and we left, I had to find a way to feed my family." So dramatic with Oprah. Oh, same kind of thing. Now, they were doing this long before. They had this planned long before. They had the whole filming of the setup of the engagement, the candles, the lawn. Harry, pointed out, oh yeah, we went out and we had a picnic with the candles on the lawn of Kensington Palace, overlooked by the staff quarters. Did he have to say that? I'm sure that the staff aren't that excited that now everybody knows what area of the palace they're living in. That's another privacy breach that they didn't seem to care about. So there we go. We know the whole engagement thing is contrived, a lie. It was filmed. Maybe it wasn't filmed, maybe that wasn't the actual moment. But Meghan films things and sets things up and gets photos done to use when it's convenient to her. I mean, we know that all along. And more about the engagement, Harry is saying, well, it would have been easier and we could have gotten engaged even before or under different circumstances. But he said first he needed to get permission from the Queen. Now, I'm not so sure that that's true. I know up until they're 25 years old they do. I don't know about afterwards, so that one I'm not 100% sure if he needed the Queen's permission. But one thing that is an outright lie, he said they had to get engaged in England because he was not allowed to get engaged in any other country. That's a lie. William had taken Kate on a holiday in Africa, and that's where he proposed to her. So that's just not true. Harry's just trying to say, look how controlling they are. Look what they, controlling every aspect of my life, and it's so horrible. I can't do what I want, you know. 16 minutes into this mess, they bring the ghost of Diana out. I'm surprised it took them that long. And she makes appearances all the way through it because, I mean, that's all they got. They got to keep going back to that because she's central to the whole security issue. She's central to his childhood trauma. Without her, there's no story. Now, one interesting part, Harry's talking about his childhood. On one hand, in one part, he says, oh, he remembers the laughter and the joy of his childhood. In another part, he says, oh, I really don't have a lot of memories of being young, of my mother. So what is it? You have joyous, loving, fun, happy laughter memories of your mother, or you don't have any memories of your mother. I mean, get it straight, you know? It's outrageous. I must say, the show is well done. It's well shot, cinematography, and all of that. It is well put together, but I'm surprised that Netflix let this go. I mean, when they're talking about upon the engagement, the bad press that they were getting. Well, you know what? 99% of the press they got was absolutely positive. So they showed a shot of different headlines from press and magazines. And, of course, to fit their narrative, they were all negative. What they don't tell you, same as in the Oprah interview, these weren't magazines from Britain. This wasn't press from Britain. Most of it came from America. You know, absolutely using things to fit their narrative. It had nothing to do with the British press. Yeah, there was one or two questionable headlines coming out of Britain, but overwhelmingly, they had supported the royal family, they had support of the people, they had support of the press. Everybody was cheering them on. So, they're using those headlines that are disingenuous to build a narrative. Building on this narrative again about their safety. There's one shot of them traveling in a car, and Meghan's looking around like, oh no, oh no, there's a motorcycle following us. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Now, in the shot, you can't see a motorcycle behind them, but even more than that, so they're in the back seat of a car with a driver. There had to be somebody in the passenger seat, either with a cell phone or a camera, leaning back and and filming them in the car. It was like the scene out of a movie. It wasn't real, folks. Nothing they do is real. There was flashes of scenes of hordes of photographers, as if this is what they were facing. Oh, it was so awful, and the press intrusion, and then pictures of hundreds of photographers. Well, one of the shots came from a Harry Potter premiere years before they even met, had nothing to do with either one of them. Another shot of the press going, a lot of press, was outside a courthouse waiting an appearance by some kind of D-list reality star in Britain, Katie Price. She's in and out of court 3 times a year, and that's what that was. Again, nothing to do with them. They're using footage, they're using film, they're using still shots, stock photographs, and fake headlines, as they've done all along, to build their narrative. It's appalling. It really is. Meghan talks about the first time she's meeting the Queen, and she didn't realize you had to curtsy. Shocked and appalled that you had to curtsy, and poor Harry, he's like, oh, I know, it's so awful. I had to explain to her how it worked. And then Meghan does this horrendously overacted, mocking curtsy motion. Like, this is what she did in front of the Queen. Embarrassing, shocking, just awful. The way she mocked having to meet the Queen in curtsy. It was really disrespectful. And the look on Harry's face, he was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do about this. But he didn't do anything about it. You get some shots of Archie, of course. They got to pull him out. Is it Archie? Who knows? Is it an actor? Who knows? The whole thing is some micro drama bullshit, really. It's contrived. You can't. It's made up. It's the flavor of the day. It's how she wants to present herself today. The whole thing is just appalling. And they bring Diana up time and time again. And don't you know, Meghan sacrificed her life. She sacrificed everything for Harry. Don't you know, Harry sacrificed everything for her. The whole thing is just appalling. It's meant to try to make you sympathize with their story, but it's so contrived, and anybody that knows anything about them I just hope the press really start talking about this. They've already started a little bit, and I hope the floodgates open and all this crap comes out. Especially the way they've denigrated the press. When they were talking about the Royal Press Corps, who operate under a rota, which means photo calls for big events, things like royal tours, daily events that they attend. There's a there's a rota of the press corps, and they all kind of, I guess, take turns on who's allowed to be at whatever event, and that's the way it works. And it's a working relationship between the palace and the press. So there isn't this big, crazy, 75 photographers on the lawn kind of a thing. They do it, in fact, to make sure that that doesn't happen. Well, and Harry goes on and he's talking about the Royal Press Corps and denigrating them like basically, they're just paparazzi and they call themselves royal experts so they get space in the newspaper or magazine. He really, really talked badly about them, which is highly unfair because, in the past, he's had Angela Levin spent near a year with him to write her book. And she wasn't trailing him like a stalker. This was arranged, agreed upon by Harry to spend time with her. So to turn around and denigrate them like this is really awful. It's really terrible. And he denigrates the British public. He had the audacity to try to spin the whole Brexit movement and vote as a racist agenda. Oh, yeah. So the 51% of Britons that voted for Brexit to be free of European Union control and regain Britain's sovereignty, they're racist, man. They're racist. Oh, you betcha. I mean, it's just appalling. Just appalling. Scene from the wedding when I'm not sure if it was Princess Michael of Ghent or Princess Alexandra, one of them anyway, at the wedding wore a brooch. It got a big hullabaloo. It's called a Blackmore Brooch. And that was, brought out like how racist that is. Really, it's not. The Blackmore jewelry was created by an African as sort of a tribute to a certain time and to a certain people. It was never meant to be a racist symbol. But they don't tell you that. Nobody tells you the history of that. And the princess that wore it, I don't believe she did it with any racial intent. But again, it was overblown. The press is against us. The people are racist. The family didn't treat us well. On one hand, Meghan comes into the family and, right in the film, the family she's never had. Harry was so proud and how accepting everybody was of Meghan at the beginning. And then you have Meghan talking about the first time she met William and Kate, and they were at the cottage. And I don't know if they went into William and Kate's residence at Kensington or William and Kate came to the cottage. But either way, when you're meeting somebody, when you're meeting family for the first time, doesn't matter if they're royal, doesn't matter their status. Meghan was like, Oh, she was in a shirt and cutoffs and bare feet. You don't, not even any normal family, unless you're having a beach barbecue, you don't show up to meet the family in cutoffs and bare feet. That just shows she has no class at all. And then she has the audacity to say, oh, this kind of cold formality that you see from the royals. She was so surprised that, they're much the same in private. Well, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you're not going to be all lovey dovey. And anyway, Meghan says, I'm a hugger, and I was shocked that nobody would. You know, she made a horrible first impression, and Kate and William were obviously leery about them. And, Kate and William have some poise and some class. They're not going to act like that, and I'm sure they weren't too impressed when they met her. Now, and this goes on. The press and the public and Brexit, and nobody understands them, and oh, there's so much. It's just such crap. But now, what we're really waiting for in the next 3 episodes to see just how Harry and Meghan really put on the attack. Because the first 3, yeah, they were building the building blocks for their attack. The press, the public, the family, the racism. They've built it up slowly, a soft sell to bring you in. And this is what everybody's expecting in the second series. There's going to be some real bombshells. Well, it's going to be more contrivance, more lies, more changing of stories. It's just incredible that they're getting paid the amount of money they're getting paid. But my theory is that after this is done, Netflix will never have anything to do with them again. Because I think, they had so much trouble with her putting this together that I don't think they'll ever want to work with her again. So it's another case of, yeah, they got a big payoff for this one, but just like I've said of everything else she's done, it's a one-off. Once this is done, and the book comes out, I mean, Harry and Meghan, it's like watching a slow suicide. And we'll be watching more next week on Thursday. The next 3 episodes drop. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me a like. Leave me a comment. Let's keep this conversation going. Have a great day, everybody.